Hello and good afternoon and welcome to the Twin Ring Motegi, the mobility resort Motegi, for round 2 of the 2023 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. Thankfully, the skies are blue, or bluish anyway, clouds in the air, but the predicted rain that we were meant to have today hasn't come, so hopefully it stays dry for the next hour or so for the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup riders who have been on track a few times already this weekend, of course. On Friday they had 2 practice sessions, and on Saturday, today, of course, here midday, they had the qualifying as well. We'll run you through those shortly, but there you can see up at turn 10, the hairpin curve here at the mobility resort Motegi. The fans have stuck around to watch the stars of the future, in Asia at least, tackle this tight and technical 4.8 kilometre layout here in Japan. It's great to be back in Japan. It's great to get the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup back underway as well. My name is Elliot York, and bringing you the action today alongside me is Chris Jordan. Got race 1, of course, coming up very, very shortly indeed. In around 10 minutes time we'll be underway here in Japan. The sun is setting nicely here in Motegi, and then race 2 will get underway tomorrow morning just before MotoGP warm-up. Chris, good to have you. I'm excited for this one. It should be a good race as always in the Asia Talent Cup. We've already had round 1 a couple of months ago back in Malaysia. A good round there, and it should be a cracking weekend of racing ahead.
Yeah, an absolute pleasure to be alongside you here. Absolutely perfect conditions for racing here. 23 degrees, not too hot, not too cold, just right, as Goldilocks would say. And most importantly, have you seen some of the snacks here available in Japan? I am actually getting a bit of a hunger on looking at the fans eating. I think I saw some Kobe beef on a skewer. How could you not be tempted by that?
Yeah, absolutely. Always good to visit Japan. They do it a little bit different here in Japan, don't they? Always great to come back to this fascinating country. Love the culture here over in this part of the world. As the riders roll up to the starting grid, as I said, just under 10 minutes time we'll be getting underway, and I can confirm for all you Japanese faithful who are watching on from home or maybe listening trackside, who knows, but it is a Japanese 1, 2, 3 and 4 at the spearhead of the grid. The Japanese riders on home soil, of course, doing wonders in qualifying. It's Amon Odaki on pole position with a 2:02.907. So the Japanese fans who have stuck around after the MotoGP sprint are in for a bit of a treat, because they've got 4 riders at the spearhead of the grid to cheer on, and a couple more a little bit further down the field as well.
Yeah, absolutely super performance to date so far from the home riders. Odaki there, as we saw on our screens, launching from the head of the grid. He's had a decent season so far, 4th in race 1 in Malaysia. He was P7 in 2022's championship, so comes with a little bit of pedigree, and he does have a race win in the category so far. That came at Lusail last year, where he also got a podium, as Shinya Ezawa pops up on our screens. Keep an eye out for the number 21, P2 in last year's championship. He didn't actually make it to Malaysia last time out due to Red Bull Rookies commitments, but if you're in the Red Bull Rookies Cup, you're certainly a rider with talent.
Certainly are. Certainly are. Just having a couple of technical difficulties here in the commentary box, trying to get it sorted as soon as possible. But yeah, it should be a fascinating race, Chris. The championship is alive and kicking. 2 riders at the top of the timesheets, level on points, Pratama and Takahira, with Zen Mitani on the outside of the front row, doing well back in Malaysia as well with a double podium.
Yeah, the rookie rider, he's been in the various Japanese championships, I should say, over the last couple of years, and looks like a big talent. Double podium on debut in the ATC, so I'm looking forward to see what he can do. Looking now at the head of the second row, it's Ryota Ogiwara, another rookie, P6 and P4 in Malaysia. So again, another new rider into the class who's impressed on his debut. Now he's at his home Grand Prix. Let's see what he can do. He started strongly as well to the weekend. He topped both Friday sessions. As we get our first non-Japanese rider here, that's Malaysian rider Farish Hafiy. His debut came at Qatar 2022, as you can see P13 in last year's championship, and in the first round of this year's championship he picked up a P11 and P9. So a solid opening, but he might be hoping for a little bit more, Al.
Yeah, right. I think we're all sorted now in the commentary box. I can hear myself in my ears. I can hear you loud and clear, Chris. So sorry about that if you experience difficulties listening on from wherever you are watching in the world. I think we're all set and raring to go. So where are we then on the grid? P6, Veda Pratama on the outside of row 2. Pratama, not a rookie in this class. There's 10 rookies in the class in the ATC this year, 7 non-rookies as well. Pratama leading the championship, of course, the Indonesian 14-year-old. He was also on pole in Malaysia, won the second race by 2.3 seconds in slightly different conditions compared to the ones they had in race 1 over in Malaysia. Hamad Al-Sahouti, a name that many of you from the Asian Talent Cup fan club and maybe elsewhere around the world as well is a familiar name, the Qatar rider.
Yeah, we've seen him on the European Talent Circuit in 2022 as well as part of the Junior GP World Championship. He's picked up numerous point scoring finishes too in that category, so a rider definitely on the rise. It'll be interesting to see what he can produce here today at Motegi.
Yeah, absolutely right. P6 in last year's Asia Talent Cup. A couple of podiums over at Le Sail International Circuit in Qatar. We'll be heading back there in a couple of weeks' time, well, just more than a couple of weeks. A few weeks' time for the final round of the Asia Talent Cup. We're expecting this title race to go right down to the wire. And he also had a podium last year, Chris, in Japan, did Al-Sahouti. So he goes well at the Mobility Resort Motegi. The fans out in force, enjoying themselves, like I said earlier on. The rain has stayed away. We just saw Somkiat Chancha there, just going through your picture. An Asia Talent Cup champion himself, of course, back in 2016. Giving some of the riders some useful information ahead of race 1 here in Japan. It's been a while since they were last out on track, as we see some nice dance moves from the crowd.
Pretty sure I saw you doing this in the bar the other night, Al.
I was doing it a little bit worse than that, let me tell you that for sure. But yeah, like I said, the Japanese fans absolutely love their motorcycle racing. Great to see so many of them down here for Tissot Sprint Saturday. And of course, we'll be welcoming him even more through the gate tomorrow for Sunday's race day. Let's hope they get here nice and early before MotoGP warm-up, because race 2, as I said, is coming up early doors tomorrow morning. This is Thailand's Phuettisan, Jakkreephat Phuettisan, championship P5 at the moment in time. From Thailand, the 16-year-old. He'll be hoping to climb his way up through the pack in today's race and in tomorrow's race, of course. There is a Thai flag, so good to see different nationalities being supported here in the Asia Talent Cup.
Yeah, it's very much a far-reaching continent, and we've got several entries from multiple countries. You've Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, Japan, of course, Qatar, Al-Sahouti among the chief riders. As we look at an Australian rider here, that's Marianos Nikolis. Despite the Greek name, he wears the Australian flag. P11 in last year's championship, and his best result to date is P5 in Burapa last year. P8 in Motegi's race last year too. So he has some pedigree in this class, as we're 1 minute away.
Certainly are then. Here is the starting grid for races 1 and 2 here in Japan. Odaki from Ezawa, the returning Ezawa and Mitani. Ogiwara, Hafiy and Pratama make up row 2 with Al-Sahouti, Takahira and Fadillah on row 3. Row 4 is spearheaded by Phuettisan, with Nikolis and Wanmoon joining him. Darwisy is on row 5 with Okunaki and Meilandri. Putra, Rasyadan and Russo make up row 6. And then at the back of the grid, it's Gading and Putra in 19th and 20th. After qualifying earlier on today in slightly different conditions than we have now. Still dry, all the sessions have been dry for the Asia Talent Cup riders, as they fire their Honda NSF 250Rs away from the starting grid for the sighting lap, the warm-up lap here in the Asia Talent Cup. We're all past our commentary box window, an absolute racket. These bikes might be smaller in stature than the Grand Prix ones, but they're no less loud, and they're very, very nimble machines indeed. And
throw you out of the seat.
Yeah, it was Odaki as well who got out of the seat just behind Ogiwara. It cost Ogiwara a podium, but as we've just seen, Mitani did exceed track limits, and so did Ezawa. So if Mitani did exceed track limits, which he did, but are they going to decide that so did Ogiwara and Odaki on the final lap down there? They didn't lose, they didn't gain obviously advantage from doing so, but rules are rules. We're getting confirmation that Hamad Al-Sahouti has got a 1 position penalty due to exceeding track limits on the final lap. Al-Sahouti now 9th place inside the top 10. No confirmation yet, Chris, but a lot to unpack there on the final lap.
Yeah, the 4 riders, a lot of action in that battle for the podium, so it's understandable they may be taking their time if there is any action to follow. But as things stand, Zen Mitani is back on the podium. His best results, as you said before, he had a double podium in Malaysia. Both of them were P3s. As things stand, he's got a P2 here. Personal best result for the young Japanese rider in his debut campaign, the Asia Talent Cup, and potentially a contender for title honours if he keeps up this form.
Yeah, absolutely. The riders and teams haven't obviously been told, I say teams, it's all part of one team, but the crew chiefs of the riders obviously haven't been told of any penalties that might be coming their way, so maybe Pratama, Mitani and Odaki will be your podium. We're not getting confirmation at all on our timing screens. We've already got Al-Sahouti, who was demoted 1 position, so obviously race direction and the stewards are on it in terms of that, so maybe this is your final podium. Of no dispute though is your race winner, Chris, Veda Pratama, coming from outside of row 2, 6th on the grid for Veda Pratama. He was nearly 7/10 off in qualifying, so it was, as we were discussing earlier, Chris, that you can't look too much into qualifying. Obviously the riders who qualify up towards the sharp end of the grid tend to be the ones who have the superior pace, but obviously Pratama wasn't 7/10 slower than any of the riders out there. He went on to win the race by 3 seconds, the biggest race margin we've had so far this season. So coming from outside of row 2 again tomorrow, he'll sleep a little bit easier tonight.
Yeah, if he demonstrates the pace he had, as we look at the highlights here, El, I'm going to let you take it away.
Yeah, just getting some highlights then from the riders on the opening few laps, piling the way down into turn 11. Pratama there, the eventual race winner on the number 7 machine, hard on the anchors. Odaki there on the number 14 bike, also hard on the anchors. Mitani on the number 2 machine as well. Some spectacular slow-mo shots made even better by the setting sun here in Motegi. Won't get the same shots tomorrow morning, different time of day, but here is confirmation then of the results, and it is, as you were, across the line. Veda Pratama wins from Zen Mitani and Amon Odaki. What a fight it was in the podium fight. Ryota Ogiwara claims 4th, with Shinya Ezawa just missing out on the podium in 5th. So too did Takahira in P6. Phuettisan wasn't too far off the podium fight in 7th, with Farish Putra in 8th place and Hamad Al-Sahouti in 9th place, the Qatar rider, with Meilandri rounding out the top 10. Russo, Fadillah, Gading, Putra and Darwisy were your other finishers, and they all pick up points after finishing the race. Unfortunately, Hafiy, Wanmoon, Rasyadan, Nikolis and Okunaki didn't finish the race. 3 of them retired later on in the race, and 2 of them, in Nikolis and Okunaki, didn't finish lap 1 as we saw drama at turn 1. Fingers crossed all the riders are okay. Here's your Riders' Championship after 3 races in 2023. Pratama extends his lead to 15 points over Takahira. They were level on points coming into this race, and now they're 15 points apart, but that could all change tomorrow, of course. Things change quickly in the Asia Talent Cup. Mitani, he stays 3rd after his podium. Ogiwara is 4th, and Odaki rounds out the top 5. Odaki and Phuettisan in 5th and 6th. Level on points on 29. It's a little bit further down the order. Rasyadan moving down a couple of places on 14 points. Darwisy, Shinya Ezawa, his first points of the season, of course, after missing Malaysia. He was on Red Bull Rookies Cup duties, was Shinya Ezawa, the Japanese rider. So he missed round 1 after competing in the Red Bull Rookies Cup. So good to see Ezawa back at the front here in Motegi. And what a treat for the Asia Talent Cup riders. Hopefully the first of many that they'll be standing on, a Grand Prix podium. And not only that, some of them at the home race in Japan for Mitani and Odaki. The riders then will shortly be coming onto the podium. Of course, won't be spraying the bubbly. They'll have to settle for fizzy water. Obviously too young to be doing the alcoholic beverages at this stage, but they're just starting out in their careers. And as I say, hopefully it looks like this will be the first of many for all 3 of these riders. Odaki in 3rd place, shakes the hand of his compatriot of Mitani, and then they welcome to the podium the race winner, Pratama, by 3 seconds in the end. And like I say, race 1 coming up tomorrow morning at 9:45. So don't forget about that. You're going to want to tune in if race 1 is anything to go by. You'll be seeing all these riders in the lead group, just as they were today. Hopefully they've packed some room in their suitcases to carry the trophies home with them. They'll be the first ones that they'll collect on this tour of Asia, following around the MotoGP paddocks, and all 3 of them, we're hoping that's the first of many, of course, as we get set to complete the Asia Talent Cup. The Indonesian.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic to hear it. We've heard it a couple of times as well in recent years, and let's hope we keep hearing it going forward on the World Championship circuit.
Certainly hope so, Chris. As we're going to get then highlights of race 1 here in Motegi. Odaki from pole position didn't get away well. The shake of the head once he'd realised he'd not got the launch, and then drama unfolded. Nikolis running into the back of some of the riders, and then a separate incident further down the order. Unfortunately, 4 riders crashing out at turn 1. But back on track and back at the front, a lead group of 6 or 7 riders formed, and it was interchanging lap by lap, corner by corner. Turn 9, unfortunately, caught out one of the riders down there. Hopefully they are all okay and ready to race again tomorrow. The riders piling down into the 90-degree corner at turn 11. We saw plenty of passing manoeuvres also occur at turn 7. The fast sweeping left-hander, it was getting close. It was getting argy-bargy. That was Amon Odaki hard on the brakes down into the 90-degree corner, running a little bit wide, but didn't lose too much time down there. This was what happened at the final lap. Drama unfolding close there through turn 13 as well. Far up the road though, 3 seconds to be exact, was the number 7 of Veda Pratama, the Indonesian, winning for the 2nd time this year. And it was eventually Mitani and Odaki who crossed the line in P2 and P3 to stand on the podium alongside your race winner Pratama. And that is all she wrote for race 1 here in the Asia Talent Cup. Don't miss race 2 tomorrow on Sunday morning. We'll see you then.